สู่การประชุมวิชาการ Thailand Conference on Reading 2013 โดย TK Park ค่ะกับแนวทางการส่งเสริมการอ่านเพื่อสร้างสังคมให้เท่าเทียมกันโดยการแลกเปลี่ยนเรียนรู้ระหว่างประเทศในกลุ่มทวีปเอเชียนะคะค่ะก่อนจะมีการบรรยายในช่วงบ่ายขอประกาศนิดนึงนะคะมีคุณชูชาติพงษ์ประเสริฐค่ะอยู่ในนี้ไหมคะยังทำบัตรรับของที่เบลอะค่ะตกนะคะตอนนี้บัตรอยู่ที่เจ้าหน้าที่ของเราทางด้านหน้าห้องนะคะไปติดต่อรับได้คุณชูชาตินะคะส่วนการบรรยายในภาคบ่ายนะคะก็ยังคงใช้ภาษาอังกฤษในการบรรยายเหมือนเดิมค่ะแล้วก็เราจะมีล่ามแปลตลอดการบรรยายด้วยนะคะอย่าลืมว่าถ้าต้องการหูฟังก็แลกรับได้ทางด้านหน้าห้องเหมือนเดิมนะคะแล้วก็ก่อนการประชุมจะเริ่มต้นกรุณาปิดมือถือแล้วก็อุปกรณ์การสื่อสารทุกชนิดด้วยค่ะเมื่อช่วงเช้านะคะเราได้รับฟังแนวคิดแล้วก็ได้แรงบันดาลใจจากประเทศอินเดียแล้วก็อินโดนีเซียไปแล้วว่าเพื่อนบ้านในกลุ่มทวีปเอเชียของเรานั้นสร้างคุณภาพการศึกษาที่เท่าเทียมกันด้วยบทบาทที่สำคัญของการพัฒนาทักษะและนิสัยการอ่านในช่วงวัยประถมศึกษาอย่างไรและอุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งที่ความคิดริเริ่มสู่การกระตุ้นและก็สร้างสรรค์จินตนาการของเด็กในพื้นที่อินโดนีเซียตะวันออกนั้นประสบความสำเร็จได้อย่างไรเรารู้กันไปเรียบร้อยแล้วนะคะดิฉันเชื่อว่าวิสัยทัศน์และก็ประสบการณ์ที่ดร.ทีจินกลานและก็คุณนิลาแทนซิลได้นำมาแชร์พวกเราฟังนั้นเนี่ยจะเป็นประโยชน์กับทุกท่านที่ทำงานเพื่อสร้างสรรค์สังคมแห่งการเรียนรู้นะคะกันอย่างมากทีเดียวค่ะเนื้อหาในช่วงต่อไปก็น่าสนใจและเชื่อว่าจะเป็นแรงบันดาลใจให้กับทุกท่านได้ไม่แพ้ช่วงเช้าเลยนะคะโดยในเซสชันแรกของช่วงบ่ายนี้นะคะเราจะได้พบกับกรณีศึกษาจากประเทศเมียนมาค่ะกับการนำเสนอรายงานในหัวข้อคิดใหม่เรื่องบทบาทของห้องสมุดขนาดเล็กและโครงการส่งเสริมการอ่านในพม่าโดยคุณยีเทดอูนะคะผู้ก่อตั้งและก็ผู้อำนวยการห้องสมุดทวาภาและศูนย์การเรียนรู้อมราประเทศเมียนมาค่ะก่อนจะไปฟังคำบรรยายนะคะขอเล่าถึงประวัติของท่านวิทยากรให้ได้ทราบกันก่อนค่ะคุณยีเทดอูเป็นคนรุ่นใหม่ไฟแรงจากประเทศพม่าที่มีศักยภาพสูงในการทำงานด้านการศึกษาเพื่อสังคมค่ะสำเร็จการศึกษาระดับปริญญาตรีด้านภาษาอังกฤษในพศ 2551 แล้วก็เป็นผู้ก่อตั้งห้องสมุดทาราภาขึ้นที่กรุงย่างกุ้งเมื่อปี พศ 2552 นะคะเพื่อส่งเสริมการอ่านแก่เด็กและเยาวชนในเมืองหลวงเดิมและห้องสมุดนี้ดำเนินงานภายใต้การดูแลของท่านแล้วก็อาสาสมัครอีก 7 คนค่ะนอกจากนั้นคุณยีเทดอูยังเป็นผู้อำนวยการโครงการห้องสมุดปินเนียช่วยโอที่ท่านได้ริเริ่มขึ้นเมื่อปี พศ 2553 ในรูปแบบของห้องสมุดเคลื่อนที่เพื่อส่งเสริมการอ่านหนังสือในชุมชนที่ตั้งอยู่นอกเขตเมืองย่างกุ้งจากนั้นในปี 2554 ค่ะได้เปิดศูนย์การเรียนรู้อมราเพื่อสอนภาษาอังกฤษให้แก่เยาวชนในกลุ่มอายุ 16-18 ปีพร้อมกับอบรมศักยภาพด้านอื่นๆไปพร้อมๆกันด้วยโดยคุณยีเทดอูนั้นยังรับหน้าที่ผู้อำนวยการฝ่ายวิชาการของศูนย์การเรียนรู้วาทานที่เน้นอบรมการใช้ภาษาอังกฤษให้แก่กลุ่มข้าราชการในประเทศพม่าอีกด้วยค่ะซึ่งในปัจจุบันศูนย์การเรียนรู้ของท่านมีนักเรียนจำนวนกว่า 300 คนแล้วล่ะค่ะในช่วงท้ายของการบรรยายของท่านนะคะจะเปิดโอกาสให้ท่านผู้มีเกียรติได้ถามคำถามเหมือนเดิมนะคะแล้วก็เดี๋ยวเตรียมเอาไว้ได้ทั้งภาษาไทยแล้วก็ภาษาอังกฤษค่ะและในโอกาสนี้ค่ะดิฉันขอเรียนเชิญคุณยีเทดอูนะคะผู้ก่อตั้งและผู้อำนวยการห้องสมุดทาราภาและศูนย์การเรียนรู้อมราประเทศเมียนมานำเสนอรายงานในหัวข้อคิดใหม่เรื่องบทบาทของห้องสมุดขนาดเล็กและโครงการส่งเสริมการอ่านในพม่าขอเสียงปรบมือต้อนรับท่านด้วยค่ะ
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know it is hard to concentrate after having fabulous lunch. First of all, I would like to say thank you for allowing me to giving me the opportunity to present about the roles and the small libraries in Myanmar. And let me introduce myself again. My name is Ye Ta'u, and I come from Myanmar. And I founded a library called Tharapar in 2009. So before we start our presentation, I would like to talk about Myanmar very brief because It is, whenever I arrive other country, whenever I talk about Myanmar, there are only two kinds of people. The first people ask, where is it? The second people ask, is it near North Korea? Because whenever they heard about the word Myanmar, they remember about dictatorship. So Myanmar, it's a sovereign state in Southeast Asia, as I believe everybody in the room knows, bordered by China, Thailand, India, Laos, and Bangladesh. And we have been under military control since 1962. And the people against military control sporadic, and every time we revolve against the government, we always meet with violently suppressed. And 1974, 1988, and 2007 are famous protests, and which always ends with sad suppression. The reason I'm talking about our suppressions and also about the protests is to point out the role of the library and the role of the country is not what you see right now. If you invited me last 5 years ago, I might have to say no. So we call it new era. This is a very famous question whenever I am in other people's country. I was in United States in last October. They always ask me, we heard that you changed. What is your opinion? I'll say we are still thinking about that, and we are still struggling about that as well. In 2010, the government, military government, approved controversial constitution, and in 2000, we ended the military regimes, and we started to walk on democracy journey. That's our country. And in 2012, Myanmar famous icon, you guys, normally people know her as the lady Aung San Suu Kyi party, decided to enter an election and wins 43 out of 45 seats. And right now, she is working closely with our new president, U Thein Sein. And this is a very turning over of the country, and until it is very encouraging and inspiring for small libraries. And I have to remind, as I said, our library started in 2009 and we changed in 2012, which means we have been all those years struggling about the government and also the rules. And this is very brief photos, and I hope everybody see her face. And this is the day that the vote were announced. And you can see everybody is hoping for the new page. So in this presentation, I would like to present about some areas. Although I try to focus about small libraries, I would like to explain what we mean by libraries in Myanmar and types of libraries. And also small library, how do we define it? What do we mean whenever we talk about small libraries? And also challenges of establishing our small libraries, what are the challenges? And in the old country means when under military gender, what is our challenges? And what are our challenges when we turn the new page? And also our reading promotion, what do we do and how do we do for our library and also for the country? And our mobile libraries and its future. I said its future because, as I mentioned before, we believe that we change and we have to prepare a lot of things to encounter with a lot of challenging come from outside international NGOs and non-NGOs. Before I go to the small libraries, I would like to explain about our reading habits in Myanmar. We do not have a lot of facilities before. We live under suppression. The reading, it's one of the things that Myanmar people use a lot. You will find a lot of bookstores and also small shops, and even in the heavy traffic, you will find a man holding journals and going around the cars and selling books and journals in Yangon or in other areas. So reading is one of our country's favorite activities, and you will not be surprised to see huge bookstore or small bookstore, even a journal guys on the street. Whenever there is a fun fair, whenever there is a show, you will find at least one bookstore. This is what I want to point out. Reading habit, it's not a strange word for our country. And library used to be a second home of local people, including people from Yangon, whenever I say local. Since colonial time, people go to the library to meet as a community spot, to discuss about political things, to discuss about student affairs, to do all those social activities. This is one reason why in the military time, the government decided to shut technically down to the libraries, not to make sure that people cannot gather around in the library. So when we read about the student activities of Myanmar, political movements, all we can see it started in Pagoda, which is already known as Shwedagon, also to the public libraries. These are some photos I took myself. It is one very small bookshelf. It is a very big music concert, but people have bookstore and people come and read before the show starts. And this is the journalman who is walking under heat of 12 p.m. and walking and trying to solve journals. And this is the students who are trying to read in their break time. They are walking, they have their school hours in the break time, they try to read. You will see some people read in Burmese, some people read in English. So what I'm trying to point out is from Myanmar, the literacy rate is not that difficult. It is not hard to promote the reading promotion. And this is one of the local small library that it's presenting English books. And as what I'm trying to point out is English books and libraries are not the strange thing for Myanmar people. So when we talk about libraries in Myanmar, we have 5 types. That's generally speaking, very generally speaking. They are national library, academic library, university library, public library, and small public library. Speaking of national library was established since colonial time. However, the government trying to make it a little bit lower down. When we talk about national level, it changed time by time to place by place. And until now, in coming April, the government trying to move National Library to Naypyidaw. Means it will not be in Yangon anymore. The main library will be in Naypyidaw. National Library has it's the library like opened by Ministry of Culture. It has a lot of resources, but sadly they still use closed shelf system, which means you are not allowed to check out books until now. And academic library are also run by the government, and those libraries were used only by the scholars, not to the local people. And university library, according to our education system, we don't normally use university library as a library. So normally people go there, but you are not allowed to borrow books. You are only allowed to sit down and then read the books there. And public library, this is what I try to focus today. It is opened by Ministry of Information, and it is the most they have numerous libraries in the whole country. According to the statistics, we have 50,000 libraries in the whole country, and only a very few are working because of numerous reasons. The reason of opening public library in every district is the government trying to promote reading habits, but it's not still successful. And small public libraries are the library that it's opened by non-profit groups, sometimes maybe NGOs, and sometimes self-funded libraries. As I mentioned before, political situation makes the role of library very low in Myanmar because under military time, Myanmar people rarely go to the public places, and the government also makes fewer public events to prevent from unnecessary problems, and people don't want to go to public places to avoid from unnecessary attention as well. The library world are not exception. The government have a lot of procedures to become a member, to allow to check out books, to prevent from people from coming and gathering around. For instance, as I mentioned, even National Library does not have proper place and proper building yet. They still need a lot of things, including books and also including furnitures and stuff. And also, most of the library in Myanmar, they attach with local government office, which means not associated with library activities, just attached with offices to make sure that they know, like government know who is coming. And sadly, most of the books are not allowed to check out from the library to avoid losing a book. Whenever somebody, a librarian from the government side, even if he or she wants to borrow a book to a user, if that user loses a book, the government staff has to write a report to 7 different places, including of Home Affairs, that could make her or him to lose a position or transfer to another location. So to prevent from all those things, they don't borrow books. So if you want to become a library member, until now, these are the conditions you have to pass. You must have 2 photos, which is not hard. You must present your national ID, which is not hard. But you have to show your family registration. They must know who your family members are. And the worst thing is you must have a police recommendation. You must be a good guy to become a library member. The police is going to scan your background check to become a library member. Until now, we still have to pass through all those things. And also, another thing is if you come from another, let's say I'm from Yangon. If I come from, even in Yangon State, I live in A Township, I want to become a member in B Township, I have to go to Court Authority and the Ministry of Home Affairs to ask him to approval that I'm a good guy to become a member, not borrow books. So you must have Court Authority recommendation until now. So, as I mentioned you before, there are over 50,000 public libraries around the country. The vision of public libraries opened by Ministry of Information is to provide books and knowledge. However, as I mentioned before, it also attached with the offices that also take care of other business such as censorships, such as newspaper spreading. So basically it becomes a center of propaganda for under certain hours. So people rarely go to the public libraries around the country. And very small numbers of libraries are active because, as I said, whenever librarian lose a book, they have to report to their seniors, and the result of losing a book is not sure to meet. And the public libraries do not have enough basic amenities, which means books, enough lights, and enough tables, and then checkout books are not allowed. And the worst thing is they attach with township level offices. And also lack of library science, which means most of the librarians from government library are not graduate library science. They are there because they give responsibility by their seniors, and they could be moved to another place with another responsibility. So there is no stable librarians in the country. So you will see the dates down. It is in 2010. Until now, if you have chance to be in Myanmar, you will see it. And the building is attached with, it's least chance, but it said Ministry of Information, township level, and the library is at the upstairs, and there's an office there. So basically, if you want to borrow books, you have to pass all the way through there, cut the stairs, and go to the library. This is how people, like the libraries become lower under certain time. And this is the village library. And again, the office worker also working here, and the library is also here. And this is a sample of school library. then you will see e-library here. And then I believe this is wireless here. So basically the government also, it is in Western District Library, the government trying to promote library every possible way. But the thing is they attach with all those township level to make sure that who is coming to the library and what kind of books are being reading. They have to report books all the time. This is one reason the libraries in Myanmar, the people are rarely used there. So most of the library we goes when I was young in my 6th grade are American Center and British Council. Speaking of American Center and British Council is one famous library in my country because under certain hours and a certain time, American and Myanmar has a little bit not a little bit big problem in the country, and until now, some of the staff think if you go to American Center, you get sued or you get problems. So British Council is one of the favorite place where Myanmar people go and get books at the time, and American Center become popular in those days because we have good relation with America right now. So of course, there are advantages and disadvantages for those libraries. Advantages is they have good resources, good location, good services. You can form up groups, student groups. You can join student groups in American Center or in British Council Library. However, you have to be a member to use the library services as well. So member fee is quite high for Myanmar people. And also you must, for American Center, you must be high school graduate to become a member. It means if you're a 6th grader, you can go into American Center. This is a group photo I got recently from American Center, the library tour. And this is a this is a photo from British Council. In 2008, it is a turn of the country. I said in 2008, our country changed because not only because the government approved controversial mandate, but also Niagara cyclone. In 2008, in Asian area, we experienced the worst cyclone in our country history that makes a lot of destroy. 138,000 fatalities. Most of the Delta region were destroyed. People died, family destroyed, a lot of home destroyed, buildings, schools. This is one reason. It is one for our country to build up, because at the time relief efforts are really slow for political reason. Government doesn't allow local people, also international NGOs, to go into the country and help the affected area. So they simply block, and then the local means Yangon also infected, but not that bad. So we decided to form non-profit groups to respond to the needs of victims. This is the very, very huge impact to form group, because government at a certain time suppressed to have a group, social groups too. Right now we have reason to form groups, and it is very unique chance for us because we are not allowed to form groups for any reason since until 2008. Right now we have groups to respond the narcotics affected area, and you will, when you see the history of Myanmar, you will see a lot of groups in there form up in 2008. This is a very quick photos from Nugget cyclones. So after meta cyclones, the government started to realize that they can help the whole country. So they started to accept the small non-profit groups. Although we need to register, at the time we don't register. We form as a group, and then sometimes they disband again and they form again. So Myanmar people start to form non-profit groups to fill the need of country. It includes constructing the more libraries, constructing again to the monastery, constructing again the schools, and all those things. And a new generation of school libraries open the history of Myanmar library history as well, because we need school libraries, and the government cannot alone provide the needs and also the financial support to the library. So this is how the country changed into another chapter, even before the country approved Aung San Suu Kyi's release and also the election. We started to form small groups, and the civil society started to stronger, unlike after 2007. In 2007, we are suffering protests, and the government totally against to the protests. Right now, we don't intend to political change, but to the social needs. And the spirits of the team started to become stronger and stronger. And when we talk about library, like other stuff, and including like library, the government started to form some rules to make sure that they have registration. Most of the library have registration, and most of the NGOs have registration. And this is some very quick facts about forming a small library in Myanmar. If you talk about small library and want to have a library registration, you have to apply to Ministry of Information. It takes under certain hours, and there are some requirements to become a small library. They said you must have over 500 books. It must be Myanmar books. You must have organization structure. You must present who is your president. You must have who is your treasurer, vice president, who is the office members. That's what you have to give. And you must have registration, means you must be approved by the Ministry of Information. And the registration lasts only 1 year. And you have to renew it again. And again, you must have furniture. And you must show your income, which money which kind of funding you are getting to form a library. And the thing is, you must not affiliate with any political movements. The president of the library must be clear with any political movements. And you must not be a member of any political groups. You must clear from every political groups. So those are the data the government set to make sure that you don't support to any party. You don't support any party good cause. So here is a bit of procedure. If you want to apply as a small library in Myanmar, if you have a plan, you have to fill out forms. The forms will, the 6 forms, and you have to write commitment not to involve any political movements. If you break the political movement, you could be in jail. And you have to submit around 30 USD for registration fees. And you must require township level authority recommendation. Again, this is a problem again because my library open in a downtown area. If there is people who are in Myanmar before, they might know I am near Scott Market, also known as Puchot Market. So it is in 28th Street. So it is a very middle of the downtown. When I start to open the library, the township level authority do not give any recommendation because if I am a member of some political party or if I have idea of political movements, they are in problem, big problem, because they give recommendations. So I have to stay 1 year without any library registration. And luckily, I'm not in jail. And after submission, you have to wait at least 3 months to get approval from Naypyidaw main office to get the library registration. So the challenge of the libraries in Myanmar until now is the registration because as I mentioned before, the country changed, but under a certain area, we still have problems to get recommendation from the local authority because the registration is approved by Ministry of Information. The approval is given by Ministry of Home Affairs. So they are different ministry, which makes a little bit conflict sometimes to get the registration. So this is one of the challenge in the country to get the registration because it takes too many steps. You need local authority recommendation, which is hard. And some are political party members, although they said you don't want party members. Some people are political party members, so they don't give you for some reason. And also the worst problem is they don't give you specific time. I said 3 months is generally speaking. It could be longer, a year or sometime. So you don't have any specific time, and so you can't plan anything. And resources. In the country, resources such as books, technology, librarians, and volunteers are very hard to obtain in the country because as I mentioned before, when you talk about the library, English books are also not considered to be in the library for certain hours until 2010. According to the legal rule, you must present every English books to the paper registration under the Ministry of Information to get approval. If you are not presented, then put it in the library and you got caught, you got 3 years in the jail. I have 15,000 books at the time in English. That is quite a lot for me. And technology obviously is a very big gap in the whole country, including Myanmar. And librarians, since librarian job is not good pay salary in the country, it is very rare for people to become a librarian. And also volunteers. As I mentioned before, the government doesn't want people to gather around, so it is very hard to recruit volunteers in the country. And again, funding is the issue faced by every NGO, I believe, is another problem. And in Myanmar, a normal book means a book that you can find at any bookstore. Not a famous one, not an antique one. It will cost you around 3,000 kyat to 10,000 kyat. And so if you want to have a library with 10,000 books, it is a considerable amount. For English books, it will cost you around $10, around 10,000 kyat as well. So if you want to have a lot of good books, it is very, very difficult situation. And location in Myanmar is very expensive. If you visited Myanmar, you will understand. It is, my very first room is 50 and 12 like this on the 4th floor with stairs in downtown is 160 USD per month, and you have to pay 12 months ahead. And internet installation fees and communication in Myanmar is very, very expensive. It's 1,500 USD for one-time registration cost, and 150 until now, around 150 USD per every month. And electricity bills will cost 100 USD if you use one air condition and open from 8 to 5 p.m. And the staff fee, one person can cost you around between 100 and 200 USD per month. Every bookshelf will cost 80 USD. The reason I'm trying to point everything in detail is to prove that the small library in Myanmar is not that small in expense. It is really, really expensive. And speaking of income, it is very, very hard to get back. So after talking about all those things, here is why I become a Tharapar, brief history, very, very brief history of Tharapar Library. If before I go to become Tharapar Library, I would like to explain about Tharapar. Tharapar, it's if you were in Bagan before, there is a gate called Tharapar, and we get the name of the door or the gate because we're trying to provide knowledge. We don't provide books. We don't provide resources. We're trying to be in the middle, a bridge between known and unknown situation. That's why I want to take the sense of a door or a medium. That's why I call my library Tharapar. So we started, as I mentioned, it's 1st January 2009. And we, since at the time, we opened since 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. And I started with 2 people who are full-time staff, paid staff, and then volunteers are 17 students. One good thing about me and advantages of me is I teach English, and I teach SAT and TOEFL. I understand you, and since people who are studying TOEFL and SAT most are students and young kids, so I have a very good resource to talk with students, and as they have planned to go outside Yangon and also study abroad in USA, most of them do not need to struggle for their living, so they have free time to work with me. So I'm very lucky to get them. And I started with 17 volunteers. But I began with very limited books with 2 bookshelves. And here is my location in 2009. And then in 2010, we have to expand rooms. We are very lucky. We got resources very shortly, and we can expand into 3 rooms in 2010 October. So here is the vision of my library, to provide books and educational resources to Myanmar people, to promote reading habits among Myanmar people, to enhance the community with hosting workshops, literacy talk, and seminar. As I mentioned before, I don't believe in providing books only to promote the reading. So I'm trying to make a lot of outreach programs. I'm trying to connect with a lot of writers. I'm trying to connect with, I'm trying to run a lot of workshops and literacy talk and seminars for the local people. And also another big vision is to allow Myanmar youths to participate in the community, because I believe that if you don't work in the community, you don't understand the needs. If you don't understand the needs, you don't know what to work. That's why I open vacancy for Myanmar youths to participate in the community works. So here is before Tharapa, that's what I call it. Those are the memorial boxes for me, because when we start Tharapa, the box we have is there, is everything. So we started to rent a room, a very dirty little room, and we have to renovate everything because we can't afford for labor charge. They are our very first volunteers, and we started with 17, but what I'm trying to point out is all start with youths, teens, and I always suggest to government official, when I have a chance to talk, believe in youth. Don't always think we are here to against you. We are helping the country. We don't against you. And this is my very first vice president. We go with democracy system. We always elect. That's very, and this is our very second donation. We started with 500 books. It is a time, I remember, is one very first donor of my library. He planned to move to the United States, and he gave every book he had since he was young, and we are very lucky to have it. We have 1,500 books at the time, and then you can see the face. And this is how we started with 1,000 books. This is all we have when we start Tharapa. We don't start with big funding. We don't start with, because until now, all the funding, all the expenses go by my salary. We don't request any financial aid or funding from another international NGO or embassy, because we are afraid that we already broke a lot of rules, and I don't want to get in jail because the government will accuse me of under certain circumstances. And this is how we register books with the youths. And then this is the library services at the time, right now, open daily until now, and free Wi-Fi's listening corner. The reason of listening corner is to allow students to come and listen their books, and also children corner, which means books for the children. And then we allowed DVDs, make them to attract and come and read, and TOEFL and SAT trial tests every week. Because as I mentioned before, most of the reason I opened in downtown area, I know the expense is very big. I know the expense is very high, but it is only a place you can get youth. And if you want to have youth and want to work for you, I need to know what they want. I have to give them first, and I will show you what I have later. So I have TOEFL and SAT trial tests every week until now. We have book clubs, and we have community outreach. So the current address is, as I mentioned, is in 28th Street, and this is our status right now. And then we have active 1,100 members. This is a number of people borrowing books every month. We have members, but some don't come. And we have 14 volunteers, and we expand to 7 staff. And then we only charge 2,000 kyat per year, which is $2 per year. So this is my current library. If you come anytime, you'll see this. So this is how I expand. And this is books from the children. And they are general books. This is our activity. The reason I pointed out because I want to highlight that we don't work at the library. We work at the information center. We give service to the government officials. We give trainings to the schools. We give training to every public sector if they ask help. This is how we get trusted with the government since 2011. Because when it is hard to talk with them, as everybody might heard or understand, but it is you need to take chance. That's what I believe. If you have a library by yourself, we need to make sure that we have mutual understanding with the local authority. This is how I achieve the strong connection with Ministry of Information and then other departments. In 2010, you will see all those years we have hosted a lot of seminar. Like in 2010 June, we hosted Road to Study Abroad seminar, which means I recruit people who plan to go to US and then share their experience, how they have been passing, how do they apply college, how do they prepare for their SAT and so forth. This is the reason I'm trying to make my library become popular among youths. And when they know that Myanmar is a closed country, it is very hard for them to get information through internet. It's very slow. So it is good for them to meet with people who really was doing there. So it is a way I construct a strong relation with the kids. And then it is another thing is we also provide library software training to the students from government high school. It is a way I construct trust with Ministry of Education as well. So it is a way that you provide first, and then they start to believe that Tharapal Library do not request anything, but helping them. It is a way that I have strong connection, and then get moral supports from everything. And in 2011 July, first American admission officer visits and seminar about American schools. And this is very rare again, because at the time, if a foreigner wants to come have seminar, technically we have to ask permission from local authority. But however, since we provide trainings to the government officials, they don't care. They just let us do it. This is how I construct mutual understanding. That's why I said my library is not only a library, it serves as a community center and also giving training to promote civil society as well. This is and in 2012 May, our very first mobile library trip, we started our mobile library in 2012. And then in 12 June, we have first literary talk in non-schools by a famous author and consecutively until 2012 December. And then we are still doing that because the library, we believe that reading a book not only can give education, but sometimes you might want to talk to your favorite author, discuss about your book, discuss about what you think and why he writes that. This is a way of attracting local people to read more and then to read more books. And this is our photos of giving trainings to the local schools and then making connection with them. And then we always provide training every 3 months in a year. And this is our very first literacy talk. And this is a group a tour from Asia Foundation to Tharapal Library. And then it's the director from American Center. And then with American Center, we joined together. We invited government librarians. We invited NGO librarians and trained small library training in Tharapal Library for 4 days. And this is a teacher training. and those young ladies are my volunteers. This is in outside of Yangon. As the teacher training is provided by one NGOs, and they requested volunteers to us because at that time they don't have any facilitator or negotiator. So we take the chance, we provide our volunteers, and it is a very successful. And this is how I make connection with all those people. And this is a day we open our mobile library. And he is one of the very big donor from Myanmar, and he owned a bookstore as well, and I believe he was here last year, and he donated a lot of books to us. He is the person who makes our project become real. And this is the opening of one library, and choosing a small library and a mobile library, I always choose a place attached to religion because we want people to borrow books from us. So we want people to return books to us as well. So when you attach, Myanmar is very close with religions, not Buddhists, not every Christians. They attach it all those religion places. So whenever I decided to open a small library, I always choose the non-school or a church or a mosque because they believe it. If they don't return books, it is not stealing from the library. It's from religion place, so they always return. And religion leaders are the best resources to know the local people. They know everyone. So it is good to talk with community leader as well. So when I make reading promotion, I use mobile library. When we talk about mobile library, people will think about the vehicle like other country. In Myanmar, it's too expensive for me. I have a lot of expense already. So as I said, mobile library is more like mobile books because I give books like Ms. Neela said. I give books to one place for 2 months. And then it must be a religion places because people are attached to religion in Myanmar, so they always go to Bagora or a church. So it is good to put your books in the community place where people can come. So I use this. And then there is one thing you have to ask where the book comes. It is surprising and it is funny and it is lucky as well. In 2011, when the country is opened up, I am very lucky. I said Tharapar is very lucky as well. And at the time, the Director General from Ministry of Information came to my library with some issue, and I wasn't there. And he didn't tell his director from Ministry of Information. And then he checked the library, he saw all English books in systematic, and he asked how many members and services, and he liked it a lot. So even if I don't know him and he doesn't know me, and then he called to his district office, and the district office called me. I was so scared because whenever you got a call from office, it is something wrong. And then, but luckily, I'm lucky enough. And then he said the Director General from Nebiro allows me to borrow books from his every district library whenever I need it. I was surprised. I never know him. I never seen him before. And then he is very enthusiastic. And as I said, Tharapar is very lucky because right now he is known as the President Spokesperson Uyeta. He is the Director General at the time, and he is very interested in library promotion. So right now, our mobile library has working very closely with information department. Once upon a time, I was scared because they are going to put me in jail for someday. But right now, I'm working with them. So there is a saying, there is no always enemy. So we are working together, and then we are allowed to go to every township level library. We borrow books, sometimes 500, sometimes 1,000. I have to sign. I have to send it back. If a book is lost, all I have to do is buy a substitute book. That's it. So it is good for the librarian in the district level. They won't have problem because technically the book doesn't lost. And it is good for the local people because they don't need to go to the library as well. This is how I make a bridge between the government and the civil society. And the media, of course, is one of the reading promotion. We do a lot of media awareness by doing literacy talk. And of course, volunteers can promote your reading promotion. And the location, I said location because when I start to choose Tharapar, I choose downtown, although I know the price because it is the only way you get people. And also, when I choose mobile library, I choose religion-related places because I know this is the only way you prevent your books from losing. And literacy talk, because in Myanmar, the big event talk shows are not that available. So it is a good chance for people to meet and talk together. And right now, after the country change, the literacy talk become more and more popular. And the book club, and we have a book every month in our mobile library. It's true that we allow people to read Myanmar book because it is a good thing that you read in your own language and you talk and discuss with them. And then presentation club, which allows them to read and talk whenever or the topic they want to. So this is again all the adult literacy program photos. They are the famous authors and writers of the country. So here is our partners. This is how I solve the problem of books. Our partner is American Center, Bowen Library. They always give their read-out books. Sometimes it is not appropriate for us, which means not fit with us. So we need to have sent to other libraries, or sometimes it may be even some districts, and then also Asia Foundation, and then Nagasaki Recovery, Myanmar Bogate and President Foundation, and Ministry of Information about Relations Department. So our visions of mobile library programs is to assist underprivileged people acquire rightful access. I can agree with all those morning presentation. Actually, I don't need to tell all those things because they already mentioned about that. If you are waiting the people to read, it will not helpful. So you need to go to all those places and promote the reading. And also to encourage reading, especially among monastery school children. I said monastery school because most of the schools in Myanmar are monastery schools, and then the government allow at education level as well. So this is a good chance for you to promote reading promotion in the country. And to promote reading is important to development nation by exposing interest wide selections of reading materials and lifelong habit among Myanmar people, and to help build up-to-date mobile libraries in areas where underserved areas, and to educate library science, which is not possible for those two underdone, but we are working on it. As I mentioned again and again, our library, it's not only a library, we also provide a lot of terms because we need to prepare for the NGOs and INGOs and all those pressure. And also we need to prepare for the youth because we need to be ready. And the country changed too much and we don't have enough time. So we always provide sponsorship to all those things that improve the community. This is one of the seminar we sponsor. And the man sitting in the glasses, he is the advisor of the president. We invited him to give a talk to the youth and what we call internship, because in Myanmar, the word internship is not a famous word. It is a successful event, but they are my current volunteers right now. And it's a successful event, but I think we need to promote more, as it is a very new and different terms other than volunteers. So this is how we operate mobile libraries. We always send kids or us, sometimes it's even me, go to the places, and the first thing we want to know is what kind of books do they need? Do they even need books? Because sometimes people don't want books. They want something rather than books when you talk about library. So in the country, the problem is people want to donate books whenever they don't want to read at home. So they simply give a lot of old journals, old books, and then sometimes it is at the back. They don't even touch it. I have a book from 1870 written about Myanmar. It's in colonial time, and I found it under the bed of the passed away monk. He used as to put his leg under his bag. So something like this. So that's how I solve the problem. We always go to the area. We plan to operate mobile library. We always ask them. We always survey them. We always make sure that is it the book they really need. And then the very first step, we register books for them together with the local people to make sure that they understand. We are not going to give them library science training, but at least we give them how to register books, how to make sure that you write down the checkout books. This is the very first step we do. And this is one of our library volunteer who is asking the teachers what kind of books, what kind of service, what kind of training do they need in the local area. And this is again another places we register books for the whole library. And this is one of the nun school I visited recently, and they have books, but they don't. Most of them are about fishing, about love, and then they don't want to read about love because they're supposed to read something. So whenever I hear about the wrong books in the wrong place, I try to collect it and give it them to something else. And the local librarian is explaining us about the books they don't need. And this is one of our training for the kids, reader promotion program. We always go every Friday. It's more than reading. We always do activities with the kids to make sure that they understand. Sometimes we do outside. Sometimes we play in the building. And this is a nun school. And it's more than reading. It's more like asking them to tell stories. It's more like telling them how to read. It's more than a textbook. And it is very funny because the library from IRPD stay for 10 or more than 20 years. And then they start to have a library training right now because the countries open up and government started to realize that they need a lot of training. And this is our library training to Ministry of Information. And this is how I show them how to display books in the public because sometimes they don't know how to display books, how to, even like small matter, they don't know how to display books, how to make people interested and read the book. And this is the book corner from Information and Public Relations Department. The reason of giving book corners is to promote reading because in Myanmar, mass transportation system is not that developed yet. So whenever there's mass transportation system, you have to wait around 20 minutes at least until sometimes like an hour. So they put books in the public areas to make people read it. And then I was there to explain them how to scare away people and then ask them to read. And this is the round book presentation. So we trying to give them training on the spot. You should do this and you shouldn't do that. And this is a weekly meeting with me and Information Department to explain them what is called good service in library. They have their own issues. Sometimes they have to write back report to the seniors, and I always listen to their problems and I make them sure that they are satisfied and also that the seniors are happy. But right now, as I have to admit, government released a lot of rules and it is changing, and then it is not that bad when you talk about since start in 2009. So it is very good chance for us to work together right now. So before I go to future goal, I would like to conclude that in small libraries in Myanmar and small library rules in Myanmar is very crucial right now. It was very dangerous previous years. It was very risky, dangerous years. However, right now it needs a lot. As I mentioned the whole presentation, the country cannot be saved by anybody, not the government alone, not Aung San Suu Kyi alone. We have the country itself, the people have to be civilized and also educated to become a better nation. That's why our small library rules are filling the gap as much as we can. We as in the whole country know that it is not finished at night or even our generation, but still it is a first step. And I hope that we are doing the right way as well. And here's our goal, to improve Myanmar libraries condition at a national level, because right now Myanmar libraries are not that developed yet. And also to promote the capacity of libraries in Myanmar, and to network with NGO to improve Myanmar library rules. Thank you.
ต้องบอกว่าเป็นรายงานที่ช่วยเปิดวิสัยทัศน์ใหม่ในการที่เราจะพัฒนาห้องสมุดให้มีบทบาทมากยิ่งขึ้นนะคะผ่านบรรณารักษ์แล้วก็อาสาสมัครที่ต้องทำให้ห้องสมุดนั้นมีชีวิตชีวาค่ะเพื่อให้เยาวชนแล้วก็ประชาชนในท้องถิ่นนั้นรู้สึกสนุกแล้วก็ผ่อนคลายแล้วก็อยากจะใช้บริการห้องสมุดนะคะก็คงจะคล้ายๆกับสถานการณ์ในบ้านเราแล้วก็ในประเทศเพื่อนบ้านอีกหลายๆพื้นที่นะคะเชื่อว่าการแลกเปลี่ยนแนวคิดแล้วก็วิธีการทำงานกันในวันนี้เนี่ยน่าจะมีประโยชน์อย่างมากในการที่ทุกท่านจะนำไปต่อยอดแล้วก็ประยุกต์ในการดำเนินการกับงานในแต่ละท้องถิ่นของท่านค่ะมาถึงช่วงคำถามกันแล้วล่ะค่ะมีคำถามไหมคะถ้าใครมีคำถามยกมือนู่นเลยนะคะไมโครโฟนไปตรงนู้นเลยค่ะและอย่าลืมช่วยแนะนำตัวให้พวกเรารู้จักด้วยนะคะส่วนท่านไหนอยากจะเขียนลงกระดาษคำถามก็เขียนลงได้นะคะแล้วก็ส่งให้กับเจ้าหน้าที่ของเราหลังจากนี้แล้วก็เข้าไปดูได้ในเว็บไซต์นะคะ tcr2013.tkpark.co.th นะคะ
Thank you very much for your very precious presentation. My name is Warankana, right? One of the I'm a retired librarian already. We here come from Library Association, and you are not alone. You have librarians here as well as the teachers, English teachers here. So in case you need any help from us, please let us know. We are ready to help you as our neighbors, which are going to be the ASEAN countries, going to be practical in the next few years. So we are ready to help you. Please, if any cooperation you need, please let us know it. And my question is that from your presentation, it seems like you have so many conditions or rules to use with the borrowers or people who want to use the books. And are these rules applied to all kinds of libraries or not? But that is the first question. And the second one is, do you have any national policy about budgeting? Is it provided, regular budget to all kinds of libraries or not? And number three is that you have so many kinds of libraries like Thailand, and you work under library association or not? And who is the highest authority to, let's say, to regulate or to take care of the libraries? In fact, I have so many questions in mind, but today let's have only a few. Thank you very much.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you for offering the help, which I'm sure we'll need in very near future. And I will start with the rules of the library of borrowing books to all library or not. I have to say yes, it applies to every library. And then as I mentioned in my presentation, only public libraries, the last one, opened by Ministry of Information, are allowed to borrow books. Other libraries until now, National Library, Academic Library, and the University Library, limited to students, but they are not open to public. So speaking of people borrowing books, public libraries are allowed to borrow books. So I think this is the first question. The rules apply, and then until now, yes. And the second thing, national project funding is available to all libraries opened by the government, but not a small library like us. So they have funding for the library. And then the third question is for the library association. Most of the libraries are controlled by different ministry. For National Library, it is controlled by Ministry of Culture. For academic and university library, Ministry of Education. Public library is Ministry of Information. But if somebody wants to have a library like myself, they have to apply to Ministry of Information only because it is public library. But if you want to have specific interests, you need to have approval from certain ministry. But still, the registration goes through only Ministry of Information. I think that applies to the library association question. And for the rules and regulation, all the rules and regulation are defined by Ministry of Information until now. I'm sure it is answered the question. Yeah. Thank you.
ค่ะผ่านไปสำหรับคำถามแรกนะคะมีคำถามต่อไปไหมคะยกมือได้เลยนะคะหรือว่ามีกระดาษคำถามอยากจะส่งมาข้างหน้าไหมคะค่ะถ้ายังไม่มีคำถามนะคะเดี๋ยวเราจะไปมีไหมคะมีทางด้านนู้นค่ะ
First of all, I would like to congratulate you because the style you think the people should get something just like freedom from fear that Aung San Suu Kyi always said. I would like to ask a very personal question for you because we have a saying that we are what we read, we are what we think, and we think what we read. How much do you believe that what your effort putting in library and try to make people be able to think comprehensively would lead your people into a comprehensive thought, whether your dream will be true. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for the question. Speaking of reading, I have a very quick, as we have other presentation. When I was 6th grade, it was my very first trip to British Council Library. And then I saw a lot of people, the kids like me or adults like me are reading. And I'm so sad because in my school, I come from a very famous school, but the library is until now is very small. This is how I get inspiration to open the library. And it's a very funny story as well. When as I'm a 6th grader, I need my parents' signature to become a member of a library from my parents. And my parents are very busy people. This is my very first and last time I signature myself to become a library member. I never do my grades, but this is how I addict to the library and the reading. And when I come back to Myanmar from US, and I started to understand we are lagging behind because we don't read much. This is how I started my own library since I was 22 years old. Thank you.
ค่ะยังมีคำถามอีกไหมคะค่ะถ้างั้นสำหรับช่วงนี้นะคะต้องขอบคุณคุณยีเชตอูนะคะผู้ก่อตั้งและผู้อำนวยการห้องสมุดทวภาและศูนย์การเรียนรู้อมราประเทศเมียนมาเป็นอย่างสูงค่ะขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับท่านวิทยากรอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะ